The GallowgateShots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube and podcast channel. We are back with another match preview, and I'm going to pre-warn you right now, brace yourselves, because it could be for a long one. If what's gone on before, if it records anything to go by, this could be a fun one. Now, this is the match preview for the West Ham game. We're back looking towards Premier League football before the all-important final. I'm Scott, I'm your host for this one, and this week he's already closing his eyes and nodding his head.
Already grimacing.
He's already grimacing. I'm joined by Matty, I'm joined by Andy, and I'm joined by Daryl. Boys, I mean, should we just get on with it?
Yeah. Let's just crack on, eh? Let's just.
I'm pretty glad we didn't end up previewing the Brighton game in the end after all this.
I know.
Yes, apologies for missing the Brighton game. I was sick. People were busy and all sorts was going on. So we are back though. West Ham game, it's on Monday night, 10th of March, 8 p.m. kickoff at the London Stadium. It's on Sky, as it always will be on a Monday night. West Ham are 15th in the league, even though they've had about 16 different managers. They're still only 15th on 33 points. That's a joke, by the way, before any West Ham fans come at me in the comments. Bollocks. 9 wins, 6 draws, 12 defeats. They're on 32 goals scored with 47 conceded. That's a minus 15 goal differences. I've got no commentator stats because I just want to talk about the state we're currently in because it's an absolute nightmare. Let's just jump into it. Matty, mate, you look like you're about to explode, so I'm going to let you take the floor. No,
the angle of the camera, that's all it is. Don't worry about it.
That's all it is. Well,
yeah,
I am. A lot of people have opinions on what we should be doing in this game. Let's just get that out of the way with, first of all, are you of the opinion of we field a weakened side or a lesser side with all eyes on the final, or are you of the opinion of we go all out because we've still got Champions League football to play for? That's the golden egg, really. When you think about the season.
The golden egg. I like it. If that's the golden egg, what's the Carabao Cup? Like the egg cup, but it's like a really nice one.
Yeah, a really nice egg cup.
I'll take either of them, but I'm not like me, but I'll sort of sit on the fence a little bit, to be honest with you, mate. I think that we should just be sensible. I think it should be a case of playing the players who are 100% fit, who haven't got any niggles, who haven't got any tightness, as Eddie Howe used that word the other day in regards to Alexander Isak. Just play the players. And like that, again, you're still running the risk of someone getting injured because there is this looming, shrouding curse that seems to be around Newcastle at the moment over the last 3 days. We've had them before, and I think in the future we'll have them again. But, things just seem to be going wrong at every juncture at the moment. There's a sort of injury bug there again, and it's just less than ideal preparation for that massive fixture at Wembley next weekend. But like you've just said, Monday, it's still an opportunity to try and get 3 points, an all-important 3 points. Andy mentioned before we went live here that, Notts Forest are playing Man City, and when them teams are playing each other up at the top that we are chasing, you want to capitalise on one of those teams dropping points. Hopefully both of them. We won't know until Monday, but yeah, I think we should be sensible, play the players that we can. On our day, I think that's still enough to maybe give West Ham a game. I know you've just said the 15th, and they've had their own sort of, mini crises this season. I get in the neck a lot for being negative. I know it's not a new thing, and we'll get to reviewing the game shortly, but I just see this as one of those games where it just couldn't have came at a worse time. Monday night, under the lights at London Stadium. They've won the last 2 games. We are just up and down more than anything at the moment. And, we've just got, it's not even just like, well, today we played well. Last week we played shite, and next week we'll play even worse. And then the week after play good. It's in games we're playing well and then going absolutely shite and something mental happening. And yeah, I just can't predict this one. I want to be positive, but just given the news we've had today, given what transpired on Sunday, and even that end to the Notts Forest game, I'm just not feeling too great, if I'm being honest. But that's just me.
Yeah, I don't think there's many Newcastle fans who are feeling great, Andy, at the moment. But let's put that aside for 1 minute and let's actually talk a little bit about West Ham. They've got a new manager. I did make a little jive, but I'm only joking, West Ham fans. But they have got Graham Potter, who did well at Brighton, didn't do too well at Chelsea. Maybe he wasn't given enough of a chance at Chelsea, you could argue. In fact, you probably would argue that. Was probably a shoo-in for the England job, didn't get it. And then he's found himself at West Ham, where it's hard to say he's turned it around because they are still in 15th and, they're a bit up and down still. But I've seen a change in style of West Ham under Potter. They seem to be more possession-based. It seems to be going their way when it works. And that's probably the best thing I can say about them at the moment. But they're still finding their feet, I think, is probably the best thing I could say about them in that regard. But they've got players that can hurt with, and we've got to be mindful about that. But them playing possession-based football is probably good for us because that allows us to play the style that we want to play. And that's, pressing.
Yeah, definitely. I think with Potter, I think with Chelsea, it never really felt like a good fit. I even remember the fact that he got his hair cut and like his beard trimmed, and it was like, oh, Graham Potter, he's putting a turtleneck on, he's looking very smart, and it never really felt quite right. And obviously, he went into that job when the entire storm of Chelsea and all the signings and all the drama and everything. I mean, it's not every day that an owner gets like excommunicated from the country and blah blah blah. So it was never quite right for him. But with West Ham, I think they obviously needed change. One of the only teams that's managed to lose to Leicester. They were just in a rut. I mean, they were the previous manager was quite unlucky because he did have to play Liverpool and Man City, and it was at that point he got sacked, and it was like, well, they maybe just used him as a bit of a scapegoat because they didn't want those to be Potter's first games. But he's come in, and it's been very much evolution rather than revolution. They had FA Cup, Aston Villa in the FA Cup away for his first game, tricky game that they lost. They then beat Fulham at home, lost to Palace, but again, that's they're no mugs. That's not a bad result. They managed to then get a point at Villa, lost to Chelsea, and then lost to Brentford, and then they got that massive win away to Arsenal. And I was reading an article on The Athletic, and they were saying that this was the time where it really felt like it clicked and that the West Ham fans actually went, that this is what he's trying to do. We understand this now. So he's been playing five at the back. He's unearthed this left back called Scarles, who's come out of nowhere. He's, in that Lewis Skelly mould of a young lad who's trying to get straight into the England senior team and, has a better chance now. Obviously, Lewis Hall, RIP, is no longer with us in a footballing sense. And then they've just beat Leicester, which again, you can't really analyse that too much, but he's managed to find a way of getting the best out of Bowen, getting the best out of Kudus. He's recalled James Ward-Prowse, which I didn't actually realise. So he's managed to sort of outlive a manager who's completely, ostracised him from the team. And I think West Ham are just looking up again, and they're taking a bit of positivity into the end of the season. They're not going to go down. I think it's obvious that the three teams that are down there at the minute, sorry to my Ipswich supporting family, but they are going to go down. So West Ham can really just experiment, play with freedom. There's no real pressure. You can't imagine the fans are going to be on the back too much about anything. So they can just sort of course along. So definitely a banana skin with the way we're playing. And obviously we got burnt by them earlier in the season as well.
Yeah, we absolutely did. And Daryl, it's funny because I always thought West Ham we were their bogey side, but of recent times it's flipped on its head a little bit, and they've been the ones, even the game last season at St James's, even though we came out the victors, it was anyone's game that, and although we won 4-3, it was far from it. When when you went in at half time, were we 3-1 down or 3-0 down? I can't quite remember the half time score, but down. We didn't look like we were getting anything from that game, and we managed to turn it around. I think there was more complacency on their side than anything else. Won us that game, but Andy's mentioned they've recalled Ward-Prowse. There's a threat from set pieces where, we're quite notorious for giving away silly free kicks. And you look at what happened at the weekend with someone hitting someone in the back of the head, shall we say, who maybe shouldn't be doing that sort of thing. We're not shy of putting in a tackle where it maybe shouldn't be. That could be an undoing of us.
Yeah, we are quite a physical side, and it's funny that, just to take on what Andy said about West Ham being able to experiment in that, it's perfect for Potter as well because he is still trying to find his feet with the side and he's trying to find the formula. And we've mentioned that the formation change has worked for him at times, and he's trying to find this formula. Unfortunately, we're also in a similar position where we need to find a formula down the left-hand side after what transpired at the weekend.
Stop bringing it up. Every other sentence, man. Nothing happened on the left-hand side. It's fine.
And I also have a concern about the fact that it is Graham Potter, and we tend not to do quite, we tend to struggle against Graham Potter type sides because he has a system that's quite effective against our style of play. And we've mentioned that we're quite good at the press, but his sides are quick at moving the ball around. And like we mentioned the possession thing, but they are good at moving that ball around the pitch. And I think, if anything, the strategy for Monday night's going to have to be counter-attacking football. We're going to have to sit, we're going to have to invite them onto us, and then we're going to have to break through their lines very, very quickly and very accurately to try and capitalise on anything we can get from that game. In terms of what Matty said earlier about, we were talking at the very start about the kind of side that we're going to play. My opinion on this has gone across the spectrum in the last few days. Prior to the game at the weekend, I was like, you've got to play as strong a side as possible because these players, unfortunately, aren't in the best of form and they've got to play themselves into some sort of form ahead of the cup final. And also, it's the onus was on the players to guarantee their place in the cup final, and they have to be playing well to prove that they are worthy of having a starting place in that game next weekend. And part of me still thinks that is the case going into this game as well. There's a lot of players who have been out of form recently. You just have to look at the likes of your Fabian Schär's, even Dan Burn, for his brilliance, is a little bit out of kilter at the minute. The midfield's been a little bit weird as well. Joe Willock's been very much hit and miss, and he's had a lot more misses than he has hits the last 3 weeks when he's been involved in the team. And obviously we've got Jacob Murphy as well, who looked completely lost when he came on Sunday afternoon. And it's an opportunity for these players to prove to Eddie and to the fans that they're worthy of playing in the final next week. And you don't want to have one eye on the final. I don't want to see players shirking tackles, trying to protect themselves ahead of this final. For me, if you want to play in that final next week, I want to see you going in full-blooded, and we have to be going in and giving 100%. And again, just to reiterate something that Matty said earlier about the type of side that we'll see on Monday, the only exception I would make, obviously the injuries are aside and they're a force change, but I would probably rest Isak for this and give Wilson a go because fortunately for us, both of our strikers have a history of getting goals against West Ham, and we can pin our hopes on that little thing to go into this.
Daryl, I completely agree with you, but have you not changed your calendar yet because you know who's on the next month?
I was going to ask the same question. I was going to ask exactly.
Sorry, Scott.
The only person has history of not changing.
Does that mean it's Gordon? That means it's Gordon, doesn't it?
I don't know. You just gonna have to flip it over and let us know.
No, you haven't let me know.
It's going to be Gordon or Hall, isn't
it? Is it a case of players not wanting to put tackles in and not wanting to get injured for the final, or is it just a bit of a rough patch that we seem to be hitting at the moment?
Yeah,
is that all it is?
Well, it's a rough patch. Can't be players not wanting to risk not being at the final. Otherwise, someone wouldn't have done what they did on Sunday. So, like,
he was too keen.
I just think, it's a slump that's came at a bad time for me. I just think just something's not clicking. Some of the misplaced passes. I made an observation to someone behind us on Sunday when we were watching the Brighton game, and obviously Fabian Schär was having an absolute stinker, especially in the first half with his passing, and he played a couple of blind balls into midfield in terms of just across the floor, and it was as if like he was like, well, why is Bruno not there? And We've heard this team talk, and this is totally, they've nothing to back this up, but we've heard this team talk about patterns. I remember Dan Burn scoring that goal against Leicester, that amazing goal that got us to the semi-final, and he talked about patterns, and was that pattern X or Y? I can't remember what he said. But they've obviously had it drilled into them so much, this way that they play, that they expect someone when I get the ball here, someone's there and someone's there. And sometimes they've got to the point where they're playing it a bit laxly and they're blind because they think they're there and they're not. And I just feel like there's just a little bit of tuning that needs happening, a bit of rejigging. I don't know what the answer is, and only Eddie Howe really knows what needs to be done, and the players themselves need to take a look at themselves, of course. But yeah, I just had this feeling that just the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing at the moment, and it just needs to click again. And he's me trying to be positive. Maybe hoping we might see that on Monday for a change. We might have got all the bad out of us. I mean, I'm sure some home truths we said after that performance on Sunday, because there was little bits of good, but there was a lot of bad as well. And obviously we've heard about apparently Kieran Trippier reading the rest of the defence, the riot act after that first goal. So yeah, hopefully some home truths have been told, and they can try and figure out what's just not clicking at the moment. And I just think that's what it is. And with the cup final looming, it's just under this massive magnifying glass, and then then you add in a cocktail of injuries and suspensions, and everything's just meltdown city. The meltdown cocktail. There you go.
Meltdown cocktail. I mean, it's one of those weird things, isn't it, where we see this in the past where clubs go through these stages, and it's not just Newcastle, it's all clubs really. You have these phases of poor form, and then it clicks, and you think, oh, here we go. And you have that one game, and then the next game, it doesn't happen again. Is this West Ham game one of those games where you kind of don't want it to click because you want it to click in the next game? And it happened then. Sorry for that thumbs up. That was just a stupid thing. Yeah.
Just a reminder, I like the video. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit the thumbs up button.
Audio listeners are going to be so confused. What's going on?
There's a thumbs up double attacking Scott's head for the audio listeners.
AI's taking over.
Is it a case that you don't want it to click in the next game because you want it to actually be the final where
save the clicks,
everything falls into place? Clicks.
Yeah.
Or is that just nonsense and it doesn't actually matter? And these players should be playing every week exactly how they should be.
Well, I know the point you're making, and I guess you can point to even just earlier in the season where all the question marks are being put at Eddie's feet and it looked like it wasn't quite clicking, and then we won 9 games in a row. And all of a sudden we were like, Eddie Howe's amazing again. We don't need to sign anyone. We're absolutely class. And it just feels like we're in one of those lulls again. And it happened 2 years ago when we got to the Carabao final. We played Man United at the worst possible time because we were better than them for 90% of the season. And that 10% of the season we weren't better than them is when we had to play them in the final. And then 2 weeks after, we played them in the league and smashed them, and it was like, So it just feels like it's just awful time. And again, the only benefit really is that maybe Salah might be slightly worse because of Ramadan. That's literally all I have to go on. I don't know what else to say, but no, I know the point you're making. We need it to click, and you never know whether the coaching staff and the players are saving something for the final, or whether it's just not working for whatever reason. My view would always be that taking the positive momentum, the winning attitude is the most important thing. Obviously, playing on a Monday, it gives you that extra problem of like, well, you've got that extra day less to recover, that extra day less to train and work on tactics. But I mean, Howe's had the luxury of playing Liverpool already this season. He'll already know what he's looking to do against them. You just got to hope that there's going to be that that extra house that time. I've turned this into a Liverpool preview. I realise what I've done there. It's all like, I think this just proves the point, doesn't it? This is what the players are doing as well.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, how am I going to deal with Gakpo? And then Danny Welbeck runs past and scores. And he's like, oh, hang on a minute, we're playing Brighton. But yeah, I think you want it to click straight away, and I think it takes us on nicely to sort of the team as well. Obviously, we're going to have a problem on the left-hand side. I don't really want us to be trying anything crazy. I think you just put however much he was, £40 million left winger who we bought to be cover for Gordon and to be someone that pushes Gordon, and put him in up front in Harvey Barnes. We talked about that game where we came back against West Ham. I'm pretty sure he won us the game. He's won us a couple of games earlier in the season as well. He can do it. I would love to see him there. And obviously with Willock's struggles, I love Willock and I will back him forever, but he just looks like he's had something completely just taken out of his character. I don't understand it. So I would love to see that 3 of Joe Linton, Tonali, Bruno back with Barnes on the left, get him into his position that he wants to actually play. Because I think so far he's only ever played out of position or in a weakened team. So get him in the first team, say, there you go, earn your place for the final, like we said before. But I prefer it to click on Monday because I will be there and I don't want to stand there in London. I despise feeling miserable.
No, it's like you said, momentum's key, isn't it? Like, of course, we want it. You've got more chance of playing well in the cup final if you win on Monday, in my opinion. There's no like negativity around it. It's just all right, we've seen what the players can do, and then, like you say, if we can get Barnes clicking on the left, then it might make us, even the fans ourselves, like every fan I've spoken to, just going, like you've just said, it's going to be rock hard for us to just speak about the West Ham game tonight because of this massive game that's looming next weekend. And you speak to any Newcastle United fan, I've spoken to numerous ones since Sunday, and it just feels like there's this cloud over us. And it's like only Newcastle United. And I appreciate this is amazing. We're going to our second cup final for 3 years. Who would have thought it? But only Newcastle United can make it go like, I guess so. Yeah, let's get ourselves there then. At least it'll be nice to put up. Like, but Yeah, like you've said, I don't think there's anything to what Scott said in terms of saving a performance and leaving it out Monday, save the performance for Sunday. I think if you win on Monday night, it just puts you in a much better position to pull something out on the following Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like I say every week, it's not my opinion of that. I just have to ask the question to get you guys.
Opinions are trash.
like Andy said earlier, the parallels are uncanny from the last cup final.
Yeah,
this dip in form and losing key players. It's almost as if, why does it always have to be us that suffers this way?
I've equated it to
again,
a video game. Me,
go on.
Like you know, like I mean, my video games. I won't go on a video game rant, right? Okay, there's these games called roguelike games, right? Okay, where you basically start the game and you've got no lives or anything. When you die and you go right back to the start. Okay, so when you get
Slay the Spire.
when you get to a boss, like you want to have all your health, you want to have a bit of potions and that, but then sometimes you just get through the level and it gets right at the end and you've got like half a health bar. And let's equate this to like a retro game. Got a handful of coins, and you've got to the boss and you think, right, okay, when it tells me if I want to go to continue, I've got some coins to put in to keep going at this boss. We're on our last couple of coins, lads, and we have no health and no potions.
Or like when me and Daryl were playing Sea of Thieves yesterday, we came across the big ship and had 2 cannonballs left and had to just leave.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to leave. We're going to die on our way.
I don't think we can just leave.
I think we can.
What's going on, yeah?
Just concede the game.
They came out at Wembley and we were just like, I know I'm going to get emotional. It doesn't matter what's going on with the team, but they come out and everyone's like, come on, lads. And then they just walk out down the tunnel straight back.
It's like how, on social media, they always go, the lads have arrived at the London Stadium. It's like, well, yeah, I'd hope so. Are they just going to be like, the lads have not arrived for Wembley. The game won't be going ahead. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's take it back to the West Ham game because Wembley is another day.
Oh, yeah, West Ham.
Matty.
They're in London.
They are in London. Andy made a good point about playing Harvey Barnes on the left. A lot of people are wanting Joe Linton to start on the left. But if we start Joe Linton on the left with the I don't want to say the gap in quality, but the lack of quality we have on the left at the back, do we need Joe Linton to play in the centre of midfield to provide that cover to protect whether it's Matt Target or Dan Burn or Livermore or whoever it is that's going to play on the left-hand side on the back? Do we need Joe Linton in the middle so we can be easier to get back and provide that cover that he did at the beginning of the season? Or are you of the opinion of play him on the left wing so we can be up and down that wing more of a kind of a box-to-box winger? Is that a thing? I don't know, but Steve Bruce can invent new positions. Why can't I?
I guess it's like what Andy said, though, innit? It's like if we had a fully fit and firing Joe Willock, you could get the best of both worlds because that was our left-hand side. Yeah. And Joe Linton, for the most part, would be in the midfield. And then you just see it change every now and then. Willock on the left and I'll drop into midfield and vice versa with Joe Linton. And then the cover was there when needed for the left back. But with the fact that, I've got a small, I think there's a 50-50 chance we might see that against West Ham. We just don't know. But given, like Andy said, Harvey Barnes was bought in for a pretty tidy sum and he's shown he can do it in parts. He's not a lightning quick winger, but he can, he's got a very good finish on him out of nowhere. And I think that's what he brought in
for the first few months, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was won that game away at Wolves. Absolutely amazing finish. Scored the last goal against Nottingham Forest. And like you say, he's got previous against West Ham. But yeah, I think defensively, if we had Joe Willock playing well, then we could get the best of both worlds. But yeah, probably, like you've just said, Joe Linton start in the middle and you've seen him drift across to cover the full-back before, and hopefully he can do that again without, getting too excited and booting someone in the head.
Don't need a Joe Linton right now.
Imagine.
Could you imagine? No, let's not go down that route. Obviously the back line's going to pretty much pick itself if injuries or anything to go off Daryl. The question is it Trippier on the left and Tino on the right, or Tino on the right and Trippier on the left? Because they can both play in either position. Do you play, the young gun in his preferred position, or do you play the old hat in his preferred position? That's probably the biggest question. And that's no disrespect to Trippier's age, but you know what I mean? I think there's 10 years between them. So, the best way to describe them, really.
I think, for me, if anything, for the potential creative output, you probably want to put Trippier on the right and have Tino on the left. You want Trippier to potentially be in a position to put crosses in and swing them in from that side, rather than him have to cut in as he would do on his stronger foot to whip them in from the left-hand side. And like you say, that the rest of the defence is incredibly short, and the huge question mark that hovers over the fitness of Sven Botman going into these next 2 games is going to drive many people insane. And it's going to have people.
Already has done this one.
Well, exactly, and it's going to have the rest of social media and God knows what platform in absolute tatters, as many things have done today, especially and even in the last couple of days. We'll not mention Gypsy Curses are out like that. That was for a different podcast that Chris and Decker did this morning. But we're basically relying on Fabian Schär and Dan Burn with Emil Kraft as cover, aren't we? That's the be all and end all of it. That's why centre back coverage.
Unless we hear a glass shatter and Jamal Lascelles comes out from where he's not
Jamal Lascelles music.
We would have thought it. Andy, mate, obviously, there's a big talk about Alex Isak as well today and whether or not he's injured or not. And Matty's a very strong opinionator that you rest him regardless. Are you of that same opinion? Do you rest him if he's got a slight twinge or a tightness, as Eddie Howe put it? Or do you think he maybe needs to run it off and get a bit of minutes under his legs to be ready for that final? How do you address that?
Well, I don't know if the physio or the sports scientists have said, run it off, mate. get the spray out and the brown paper towels, you'll be fine.
So the bin sway, is it?
But I know the point. I know what you're trying to say, yeah. I think it goes back to what Matty said right at the start about just being sensible. I think there is a genuine criticism of mine of Howe, and I know a few others as well, that I do think he probably does rush people back. But I think that's part of the wider problem we have in not having a squad. The second unit after you get past the starting 11, we just don't have good enough players. That's the ultimate problem we have. The whole journey we've had so far under how that's been the issue. But
not enough coins, Andy. Not enough coins.
Not enough coins. No, bad draws on the roguelikes. It's awful. I think Isak's, without Gordon, he's the guy who's going to do it for you, isn't he? He's so important to the way we play, the runs he makes down the channel, the way he can beat a player, the way he can just make amazing defenders like Saliba and Gabriel just completely freeze up. I don't think there's anyone else in the league that can really do that, bar maybe someone like Salah. But in a central position, nobody really. Obviously, if he has a genuine twinge or a tightness and the physio says that could turn into something bigger, then don't play him, don't take the risk, as much as it goes against everything we've said about needing to win the game and build momentum. I'd rather lose the game and Isak not get injured than win the game and he gets a tightness and we're all asking the question going down to Wembley as to whether he's going to play. Wilson's got a good record against West Ham. We've said that before. Osula, when he's played, I think he's looked really good. He just looks a bit mental when he gets the ball. Like he tries to do, going back to the video game analogy, his right stick is just all over the shop. He's got stick drift. He's just like his step overs for days, doesn't know what he's doing, thinks he's playing FIFA Street from 2006. So for me, you play your best team, you try and win the game, you try and build a bit of confidence, but obviously it's up to the physios and Eddie Howe to decide how they want to play it. Wilson hasn't looked great, as I'm sure everyone would agree. He looks like he's just lost a bit more in the legs again, lost a bit of confidence in his running with obviously all the injuries he's had, and obviously got a couple of chances in the games he's played and hasn't put them away. So I have an all-time low confidence in him as well, unfortunately, just to bring more positivity.
Get in.
Yeah. We just suck off Ref Watch and go. It is time for Ref Watch. Let me know who the man in the middle is for this week. Yeah, this week's game.
Well, actually, I kind of believe, right, that we're best part of 3/4 of the way into the season, and I'm having to utter the following words, but it's going to be the first time that we see this man this season. So the man in the middle on Monday night will be Michael Salisbury from Preston in Lancashire. Like I said, it's his first game in the middle this season. We last saw him on VAR duty for the home game against Everton, which was last season. A 2-1 defeat, if we all remember. That was the game that Paul Dummett went all rugby and forgot which sport he was playing and took down Ashley Young for a very late penalty.
More happy memories.
That Calvert-Lewin decided to convert right in front of Lee's end. So yeah, that was his last involvement with us. The last time we saw him in the middle refereeing a game was the 2-2 draw against Bournemouth at home all the way back in February of last year. His stats for this season in the Premier League, he's only done 8 games, which is probably the reason why we're only seeing him for the first time this Monday. So 8 games refereed, 29 yellow cards in those 8 games and 2 reds. VAR for this one will be Alex Chilowitz of the good old US of A. We last saw him for the very first time on VAR duty for the 2-1 defeat at home to Fulham back on the 1st of February.
Are they bringing in the semi-automated offsides for the Premier League, or was that just a cup experiment?
I think the idea is that is going to come as soon as possible. My guess would be that they might even try and bring it in as soon as after the international break. I haven't spoken to Howard Webb in a while, who, just for the record, I do sometimes see. So I'd like to drop my name in, but I haven't seen him for a little while. So
At least
if I see him before then, I'll ask him.
At least the semi-automated offside was really, really quick and really fast.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
It was painful, that.
Well, if you want some more pain, it's now time for predictions.
Oh, God almighty.
Isn't it? Isn't you guys are the team boys? Oh, mate, let's stick with you. What we're going for
hell,
this one?
really? Well, I've got a lot of West Ham supporting friends down in Yorkshire who I was.
No one cares.
I'm only joking.
It's one of them Howard Webb.
We'll clip it. Yeah.
Only joking, pal. Sorry.
You know, I've got to take this in kind of, and I am. Don't you worry, I will. I'm worried about the Graham Potter thing that I mentioned earlier. I think he seems to have one number in a little way. I'm probably going to go and think that we might just scrape a 1-1 draw in this. I think it would be very cagey from us, and we'll be doing our absolute best not to make any catastrophic errors and play ourselves in even worse form than we all already are going into the final. And I think there'll be a very scrappy game. I think they'll probably dominate the entire game with possession, and we'll just be able to find a lucky break. And I think it'll be a very even game. It'll be 1-1.
Andy, it's coming to you next. What are you going for?
Scott? Yeah, I'm still here. I think we're going to win.
Get in.
Go on, lad.
2-1 win. I think you have to remember that West Ham, as much as they've had a nice little resurgence, they're still not an amazing team. And on our day, we are still class. And we've been awful. The Brighton game, we had ups and downs, and obviously everything that happened. It's just an all-time low. I just think that it's time for a bit of positivity, and I think Eddie Howe, he's such a good motivator, and he's really drilled in his ideas into his players at this point, and I think he knows how to bounce back. So I just think we'll put in it. I don't think it's going to be an amazing performance. I just think it's going to be one of them where we do the job, we execute the game plan. We maybe have to defend for our lives a little bit at the end. But I just think that'll be a big confidence boost for Wembley in getting into a leading position and then be able to hold on to a lead. I think that's such a massive mental hurdle to get over, that if you then get into the cup final and you're in a position where you're trying to defend something, it just gives you that extra 1%. So I think 2-1, really tight game. And I'm going to say Barnes will get a goal, because that will vindicate my opinion, which is all that matters.
There you go. Wow. Yourself. Matty, mate, what are you going for?
So, like, I'm just of the opinion it's just going to keep getting worse. But, like,
Did it come to me at the end?
I'm half-only joking. I'm half-only joking. Listen to this. Listen, I'm going to say some positive stuff. Don't worry about it. I just keep thinking, like you just said, West Ham playing well-ish. They've obviously beat Arsenal, Emirates, no mean feat, and got the result against Leicester, albeit against the poor Leicester side. But I just have this feeling like they're just catching us on a right there. That being said, I remember when they came up here, all the West Ham fans were saying, "Oh my God, it's just going to be a case of how many Isak gets. We're going to get absolutely smashed. We've got loads of injuries. We're playing terribly," and then they won 2-0. So it was like, what's going on? So
hang on, is this your positive point?
I have listened, but so what I'm saying is look, like I want to say, like, okay, it's just gonna be one of those ones where they score early and we just aren't very good, and then second half, like, you think we might do something, then they just score near the end just to piss us off. But I have this feeling it's gonna be. I just have this like warm fuzzy feeling there, just thinking about it. Right, cast your minds back. Okay, can't remember what year it was. I think it would be, what will have been 10-11 season? Is that our first season in the Premier League under Chris Hughton? Or 9-10? Go to Upton Park, 1-0 down. I think Carlton Cole scored, right? And then the bromance hit Kevin Nolan, Andy Carroll, 2-1. We're going to go 1-0 down. Kudos. And then the new bromance, the proper bromance, the real bromance, the best man loving Bruno and Joe Linton. Going to bring it back. Going to win 2-1. There you go.
Vamos.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go. Vamos.
Yeah, vamos indeed.
Vamos indeed. If I see Bruno do a chicken dance, it's meant to be.
It's over. The league needs to be worried.
On a line. And that means
Joking now.
36 is coming. Yeah. No, I actually agree. I think I don't agree with all of that, but I think 2-1 is probably a fair scoreline. I think both sides are pretty bad defensively, to be fair. I think we're both having defensive struggles at the moment, so I don't think it's going to be a low scoring game, and I think 2-1 is a fair result. I think it could swing either way as to who that goes, but obviously I'm going to pick us because it's a Newcastle podcast. I'm a Newcastle fan, and I'm always going to back my own team. So yeah, I think 2-1. I don't think Isak starts to just add fuel to the fire of the social media outburst. So I'm going to go Wilson. Will finally get his goal. Hope he cuts his hair as well, because he's looking a bit ragged at the minute. He looks like he could do with a good trip at the barber and just get a freshen up, and that'll get his goal. Because we all know what that can do to a chap after he has a good visit to the barbers. And I'm going to go Harvey Barnes as well. I agree with you, Andy. Harvey Barnes will get a goal. He'll get the winner. A nice cut in top corner, a belter like he normally scores at the beginning of the season. So I'll go for 2-1 as well.
Any excuse to use that? I don't know the guy's name, so forgive me, but like he was a streamer, and it's that guy who goes, "Callum Wilson." I like the shit that guy's hand. I love it. I absolutely love that clip.
Yeah,
I will try and find that clip, and I'll put it in right here now, just so you see. Well, let us know in the comments below what you think the score is going to be. Let us know what you think the lineup's going to be. If you're a West Ham fan, are you looking forward to this? How's life under Graham Potter? Let us know down below. And while they're all there, if you hit the thumbs up button, if you've enjoyed it, don't hit the thumbs down. This has been negative enough. We don't need any more negativity. It hasn't been negative. I'm joking. But don't hit the thumbs down. Just hit the thumbs up. That's all we need. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button. There's loads more content coming your way right up until the final and beyond as well. We have tons of content on the channel. And if you want to go one step further, $2.99 a month. Become a member. Gets you early access to videos like this very video you're watching right now, as well as the some exclusive videos that Decker and Chris have done this week, and other things as well. Access to the Telegram group. I've lost count. There's so much going on. There's so many things. It's worth way much more than $2.99 a month, but there you go. What more can you ask for? Boys, I don't know if I'm looking forward to this one or not. I don't think I am, but we'll go down there, we'll pop some bubbles, and we'll come back and we'll look forward to a final. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.